Hey guys, welcome back. So at this point, we're now jumping back into Justice League, which at this point has now crossed over into Infinite Frontier. But with this issue, there's quite a few things that Bendis is setting up that are pulling from Future State to be rolled out into Infinite Frontier. And I, for one, am pretty curious to see how Bendis is going to roll this out. So let's get into it. But first, if you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to catch the spills every week. And don't forget to hit that bell up top so we can squad up in the comments for the first hour. Alright, so jumping in, we start up in Kahndaq, but initially we do get a bit of commentary from the Justice League, which is mainly between Green Arrow and Black Canary, that we'll talk about a bit more in just a little bit. But initially their conversation, it goes along the lines of the people's perspective of the Justice League, and how for the longest time the general perspective of like your average person is that the heroes or the League are so far off and they're so powerful that your average person just couldn't connect to them. And within that conversation, like this is something that Oliver Queen said has shifted ever since Clark has revealed his identity to the world. And with the way that this opens up, like in Justice League issue 59, it's presented in a way that's likely foreshadowing quite a bit for Black Adam. Because for Black Adam, we kind of have an idea of where his character is going, with the shift in perspective of him being the quote-unquote villain, and him heading into a more heroic-like role. And it's here where that connection is directly tied to Superman, which, mind you, is also being done by Brian Michael Bendis, who had also made the shift of Clark revealing his identity to the world. So take that as you may, like in the grand scope of things. But here where we see Black Adam visiting the site of his loved ones who had died thousands of years ago, he sees a kid there whose mother had just died last year. And when he sees the kid, they have a short conversation, the kid offers some candy, but in the grand scope, we're presented with the idea that these godlike characters or figures, that they're given a much greater connection to the people, given the circumstance that the people are allowed to know more about them. Because if they understand these heroes or these figures more, they can find a way to relate to them, and as a result, the people who they share this world with, they can then have a deeper level of comfort and understanding, similar to the dynamic of what happened after Superman revealed his identity. But overall, this is like an underlining theme that is unfolding underneath the events that are taking place right now, which we'll definitely see more of going forward, and we really won't know until then, like ultimately, if it's for better or for worse. But while Black Adam is here talking to this kid, this visitor, if you will, for the time being, he just pops up coming out of this portal, and when he arrives, he doesn't give like the details of where he's from, but he mentions that he went through a lot to get here, and with doing that, he also mentions that he recognizes the symbol on Black Adam's chest, but even with seeing it, he just says like, oh, you got one of them shirts too. And he questions Black Adam about who he is, what does the symbol mean, what is his name, and does he consider himself to be the ruler of this world? Which first and foremost is a pretty rude entrance, like you don't just walk in and just start asking all these questions. But upon this visitor's introduction, the first of a few things that he makes clear is that his arrival here is a part of a takeover. But also like with one of the things that we're seeing like when this visitor had arrived, Black Adam had also told this kid to get out of there, and with doing so he had told the kid he'll protect his mother. But with that happening, it's kind of like the reminder of Black Adam not only being the ruler of Kahndaq, but that he's also someone who on a very human level holds a high level of stakes to this land and its people, although being in his case close to 5,000 years. But for Black Adam, while going back and forth with his visitor, the Justice League, they then arrive, and Superman tells Black Adam more or less to fall back and that they'll take it from here. And initially this is done in kind of a way to where Superman is greeting this visitor, and he's letting him know more or less like, okay, well Black Adam may not be the best person to talk to speak for the whole planet Earth, so for that reason kind of, you know, talk to us, let us know what you want, and we'll more or less figure out things from there. And mind you, also while this happens, you have Batman who's kind of like, you know, identify yourself, because if Batman don't recognize you, the first thing he needs to know is how to kill you. And not necessarily because Batman's a killer, but you know, as usual for quality assurance, Batman cannot trust you unless you're killable. But then it's here where we find out that the visitor, who goes by the name of Brutus, like he then attempts to give the Justice League the same energy that he gave to Black Adam, but immediately Superman is like, no, that's a no-go. But also, like very quickly in this case, it allows Superman and the others to realize that at least Black Adam wasn't in the wrong here. But also when Superman checks on Black Adam, like asks him if he's okay, to where of course Black Adam's gonna say yes. But then it's also here where Black Adam tells Superman and the Justice League when they ask him like what he knows from what this visitor told him, and it's here where Black Adam makes them aware that this isn't just an instance of one guy popping up and rolling through solo just trying to take over the world, but instead rather this is a scout preparing for an invasion. Given the questions that Brutus was asking, with him measuring up Black Adam's strength and asking how many more will like him. Like, more than anything, this guy really just wanted to know who all is on this world and what they're capable of. And even without directly telling him, like, the Justice League is giving him these answers like one after one. Because when Superman punches this guy back out over the sea, Aquaman then takes him on from there, and with doing so he gets away from Arthur pretty quickly, but immediately after it sends him into Kendra, who then knocks him right back into the fight with Aquaman. But also when this happens, like, Kendra calls for backup, because when she jumps in and she effectively knocks one of the horns off of this guy, the nth metal from her mace, it starts acting in a way that she had never seen it act before. And really, like, on one hand, where it seems like this opportunity to catch this guy while he's going down, but instead it's more the situation to where this could be a sign of this whole thing leading to something worse. Because when Brutus notices this anomaly with Kendra's mace, he then asks her, like, what specifically is it made out of? And though she doesn't tell him, it's kind of insinuated that he knows. And immediately after, he opens a doorway, just telling them, like, okay, I'll be back and I'll be more prepared. And immediately it flips to the situation of where, like, Batman, like, he gets it. Because, for example, if you get into an altercation in, like, a club, and this is just an example, it's gonna make sense, stay with me here. But if you get into an altercation, whether it's a club or wherever it may be, and the guy who loses, he says, wait here, I'm going to the car, I'll be back. And in case you didn't know, in that situation you got two options. And with option one, you don't wait there for the guy to come back with reinforcements, whatever they may be, you get out of there. Or option two, you make sure that this person is detained by some authoritative figure before they're given the opportunity to escalate the situation by going outside, or in this case through that portal, and retrieving a mysterious object or even a number of accomplices that will aid them in a second attempt, to where you know that they're coming back way harder than they did the first time. And this is why Batman had told Superman to catch him, not let him out. But Brutus gets away, and immediately after, Black Adam puts up shields over Kahndaq, because he also realizes that whatever's coming next, that in no way is it going to be anything good. But even with this happening, like, Bruce rallies everybody up to get back to the Hall of Justice, because at this time Bruce has already scanned the area and he sees that the energy from this visitor that is unfamiliar, which means even the more that they all got to get back and figure out who exactly this visitor was, what exactly he was, and what this could possibly mean that they're dealing with when he returns. But even before the Justice League leaves, Superman asks Black Adam, or he at least tries to ask him if he knows anything else, and Black Adam cuts him off and just tells him that you know what I know. But even with that happening, like, there's this moment to where you have this look between Black Adam and Superman, to where it also feels like had there been better communication prior to this point, then the following process of preparation, that it could have been done collectively rather than Black Adam going his way and the Justice League going theirs. And after this, like, when we go back to the Hall of Justice, and at this time you got Barry Allen, who's contributing his forensic expertise to help Kendra and figure out what was going on with her mace. But even still, you can tell that what he's doing is kind of limited by what he knows about Thanagarian history. And it's here, like, Batman, he even makes the suggestion that this Brutus guy, that he may have caused this reaction to Kendra's mace, with Brutus having some type of association with magic. But even still, like, with the information that they're working with, nothing really pinpoints or even narrows down who Brutus is or where he may have came from. But then also really quickly, we get a continuation of, like, the conversation between Green Arrow and Black Canary. And it's here where we see, like, the main point that Green Arrow was getting to. It was mainly that he believes, like, as heroes, the Justice League, that they could do more, or better yet, in the case of alienating themselves, whether it's from the regular civilians or the rest of the world, that Oliver Queen believes that the Justice League can do better. And when he says this, like, Superman says, I get it, I agree. And it really feels like in this moment that Superman's more so thinking of the situation with Black Adam. And had the Justice League as a whole, like, considered more of what Oliver is saying, then practically they could do their job better, with it also having the benefit of bringing newer people into the Hall of Justice, which overall could only make them more effective. But even with this, like, with the way that Black Canary responds to it, and when she does, it's not like she's in disagreement, but in a way she's kind of playing devil's advocate. But in response, she mentions, like, part of the reason that the Justice League works so well, it also plays off of the idea of how well they know each other, which then allows them to trust each other, which is what makes the Justice League work as well as they do. But in the grand scope, like, this is the exact reason why the Justice League has expanded and then shrank and then expanded again. Because every so often, you need to bring in somebody new, given the circumstance, the event, or the threat that you're facing in the immediate future. And that's kind of what we get here. because at this point where they've exhausted all their resources and their knowledge trying to figure out who this visitor was, it's here within Kellex, the Kryptonian computer, which we had recently talked about with Future State in Superman Man of Metropolis, which, by the way, is also where I feel like some of this is leading to where in that series we were made aware of a number of invasions that were up to come in Infinite Frontier, of which soon enough we'll see how they play out. But it's here where Kellex mentions that after searching its Kryptonian database that it didn't find a named match to what exactly this visitor was, but it did find a match that was categorized as unidentified, and it lined up with this mysterious visitor one-to-one. And for Kellex, out of its vast interstellar databases, this energy signal only matched with one person, who in this case was Naomi McDuffie, whose parents have long been unknown, but also with their history of being from an alternate Earth, to where there, as a byproduct of the world misusing its resources, the ozone layer collapsed, leaking radiation onto the world, which affected everyone differently but gave like 29 people superpowers. But the energy signal that this visitor had gave off, it only matches her and no one else. But with us seeing this, we then immediately jump over to Oregon, to where at this time Black Adam is already there, and with doing so he has already confronted Naomi in order to do an investigation of his own. And so now real quick, I want to give a shout out to all the patrons. Thank you guys for all of your support, and for anyone who's new here who wants more information on how to support the channel, I got a link below so we can go to patreon.com/dopespill. But that'll do it for this one, guys. And like, in the process of tying Future State to Infinite Frontier, like for things moving forward, Titans plus some of the changes going on with Damian Wayne, those will likely be the direction of our next talk, unless you guys feel like there's another area that needs more focus more immediately. But either way, let me know down in the comments below, and we'll do it again on the next one. Alright, later.